This needs to stop now. That was Leeds this evening. These people have no shame. That's from Glasgow tonight. As I speak to you, there are protests that we've seen in Manchester, Leeds, London, Leicester and Glasgow. On today of all days, it's disgusting. Armed police at Christmas markets, bollards along pavements, airport-style security at large gatherings, primary schools practising lockdown drills. Why? Islamist terrorism. But nobody feels this more than the Jewish community in Britain. Today, this happened, and a warning, this is distressing.
We've killed him. Hell, Lucas.
Everybody else, get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with casualties! Everybody else, he has a ball! Go away!
He's got a bomb on him! He's got a bomb! Mate, he's got a... Man, he's got a bomb on his jacket, mate! He's trying to go in a... Man! He's got bombs on him!
2 dead, 4 critical after a bearded man wearing a fake explosive device rammed a car into Jews outside a synagogue in Manchester, then tried to slaughter as many as possible with a knife. Do you have security at your church? I live near the Islamic Centre of England, where the imam is apparently appointed by the Ayatollah of Iran. Never seen any security outside there. Why do Jewish schools and synagogues have to have security? It's because of how many Islamist terrorists we have in Britain. For me, this attack was very close to home. I went to school a few miles away from the attack. My friends had their bar mitzvahs at that synagogue. One of my friend's grandparents was attacked and is apparently still in hospital. Sir Keir Starmer said the attack was a shock.
The attack in Manchester this morning is absolutely shocking, and all of our thoughts are with those affected. I'm on my way back to London. When I arrive, I will chair an emergency COBRA meeting.
I spoke to my friends today. It's not a shock. I want to tell you what they told me. We've had swastikas painted at Jewish cemeteries. Jewish shops have been attacked. We have to live with the threat of Islamic extremism every single day. We all knew something was going to happen because we've imported people from countries and cultures where they are taught to hate Jews. Another lad I went to school with works in the NHS. He hides his faith, not just from patients, but from his colleagues. He feels that if his colleagues in our wonderfully diverse NHS found out that he was Jewish, that he would face persecution. Another friend of mine lives just a few doors down from the synagogue in Manchester. He's too afraid to let his girlfriend walk to work nearby in case someone notices that she's Jewish and attacks her. Here's another quote for you from my friend's mum, who lives nearby. Sir Keir Starmer can save his platitudes. He's a weak leader, and weak leaders create weak countries. People with his political views and ideology have emboldened lunatics who want to kill us. Jews from Manchester could set up a colony on the moon and they'd still come for us. At my old school, there was always a large Jewish contingent. Now, I spoke to one of my old teachers a little while ago, and he told me that Jewish parents weren't sending their children there anymore. Instead, they were sending them to the Jewish school King David. Why? Because there's more security. They feel as though they have to put their children inside a ring of steel just to get a safe education. When I was at school, there'd be busloads of lads coming from places like Whitefield and Prestwich, very Jewish areas. Now, I never once remember any of them saying that they had to hide their faith, that they had to hide their kippah or their Star of David necklace or whatever. They do now. Why? Islamist terrorism, anti-Semitism. This, believe it or not, is Manchester. Now, you and I might see footage there of people celebrating Pakistan Independence Day, but one Jewish friend who would describe himself as being, quote, visibly Jewish, told me today that he sees that as a no-go zone. One friend who lives in Crumpsall said to me this morning, "That's it, I'm leaving, I'm taking my family to America." The Jews are leaving. They're not safe. And let me tell you, they are the canary in the coal mine. One more quote for you here, it's just from another mate of mine. "The Jews in Manchester have been here for a long time. By and large, we've all integrated. We pay our taxes, we work hard, and we've done quite well for ourselves. So the Diversity Brigade doesn't class us as vulnerable, but we are." Britain has bent over backwards for the Muslim community. But I tell you what, we've let the Jews down. And I can bring you right now some breaking news. The man who carried out the Manchester synagogue terrorist attack has been named by Greater Manchester Police as 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie, a British citizen of Syrian descent. I'll read that to you again. The man who carried out the Manchester synagogue terrorist attack has been named by Greater Manchester Police as 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie, a British citizen of Syrian descent. That's his picture on your screens right now. Let's go live to GB News reporter Anna Riley, who's at the scene in Manchester for us tonight. Anna, that's a significant breaking news line there that we're just getting through from Greater Manchester Police, which both names and gives the descent of the attacker.
Yes, Patrick, we're now able to confirm the police have said that although no formal identification is yet to take place, the person responsible for today's attacks is 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie. He's a British citizen of Syrian descent. Police have also said that in relation to the investigation that they're carrying out, that this investigation continues, that 3 suspects are currently in custody. They've been arrested on suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. The ones arrested are 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. Scenes remain in place, as you can see behind us here. Those scenes are on White House Avenue, Crumpsall and Langley Crescent, Prestwich, which are also linked to the arrests. Police have also said that the suspicious device worn by the attacker during the incident has been assessed and was deemed not to be viable. Police have also said, based on what they currently know, their records do not show any previous prevent referrals relating to the individual. They say 3 other men remain in hospital with serious injuries. One sustained a stab wound and a second was struck by the car involved in this attack. The 3rd man later presented himself at hospital with an injury that may have been sustained as officers stopped the attacker. Police say that they're working to formally identify those who have tragically been killed and provide support to their loved ones. In addition to the wider community, they add as well that they are looking into the motive of this attack as well and finding out further information. And we've been here throughout the day, Patrick, speaking to people in this community and been told that they say that people have been killed here as Jewish people just for being Jewish.
Anna Riley, thank you very much. And Anna's going to be at the scene for us as well. So any more developments and we'll go straight back there. Just to recap, the man who carried out that Manchester synagogue terrorist attack has now been named by Greater Manchester Police as 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie, a British citizen of Syrian descent. There are 3 suspects currently in custody and have been arrested on the suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. We've got former Conservative Minister Gillian Keegan, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, former Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. OK, that breaking news line then is that it's a man believed to be of Syrian descent. And, you know, I'm just going to ask you, Gillian, have we let these very, very dangerous ideologies and cultures come to Britain a bit too freely, do you think?
Well, I mean, dangerous ideologies and cultures are all over the world and all over the internet, right? So they come here. But it is very sickening, and it does remind me when I was Education Secretary. It was just after the 7th of October. And the Jewish community from that moment have been very fearful in this country. And you showed some of the marches, some of the protests, some of the intimidation, whether it's been in schools, universities, even nurseries. They have security
Just
on
talk
nurseries.
to me about that. So Jewish nurseries where toddlers go, where babies go, they have to have security.
Yeah, Jewish schools of all ages. The Jewish Students' Union, we met with them just after the 7th of October attacks. They were telling us all of the stories about intimidation on campus. So there has been a huge uptick, massive increase in anti-Semitism and threats that the Jewish community, I mean, we can't say because we don't feel it, but they feel it. And, you hear all kinds of things, they wear the Star of David, girls being talked to by bus drivers. So it's all of our responsibility to call this out, because there's not that many Jewish people in our community, 300,000 or so.
Look, I'll say this now. There's big questions for me about the nature of this statement. A British citizen of Syrian descent. What I want to know about that, and I hope we do get this detail, is does that mean that he is from Syria, was born in Syria, was potentially brought over here as some kind of refugee and we've given him a British passport, which would, of course, in the legal sense, make him a British citizen, or was he born in Britain and, say, had Syrian parents? Those pieces of information are absolutely vital and we need to get that from the police. But just your reaction here, Chloe, anyway, to that breaking news. Jihad Al-Shamie, British citizen of Syrian descent, appears to be the man who carried out this attack.
Look, we don't know, as you say, we don't know if he was born here, we don't know exactly how he came here, if he was born in Syria. But what I will say is I've been in Syria and there are many, many Syrians who are in a lot of pain and a lot of poverty, but there's also still a very prevalent ideology of ISIS there and various other terrorist organisations. And when you allow people to come through illegally, unvetted, through our borders, we don't know who's coming through. We don't know exactly who this guy is. But what I fear after seeing what's happened today is how many other people coming from countries that do have ideologies like the ISIS ideology and other groups prevalent, how many people who want to commit an attack against Jews and anyone who's considered an infidel are going to come through illegally because they know they won't be vetted?
Yeah. It's just utterly disgusting. But I spoke to several members of the Jewish community just around the corner there, as you would have just heard, Matthew. They're not shocked, are they? They seem like they knew that this stuff was inevitable.
Well, I think, to be fair to the Prime Minister, it was shocking rather than he was shocked. I think, sadly, we've all known, the threat that there has been, as Gillian was saying, since October the 7th, I think both under the government Gillian was part of and under the new government, extra resources have been given to the Community Safety Trust, which is the Jewish-run organisation that protects synagogues and other Jewish sites. You saw the guys out there they have CST on the back of their jackets. We saw that today. I think one of them actually has already been praised by the police for their actions. So, I mean, I think it is shocking. I don't think it is a surprise.
See, what I think is disgusting, and we can take this now, I believe. There are pro-Palestine marches taking place now, OK? So they're happening in at least London, Leeds. At the one in Leeds, they were still chanting death to the IDF. We played you a clip of that earlier on. There's been some in Manchester where the attack has happened. There's some in Glasgow as well that we're seeing. I mean, have these people got no shame, Gillian?
I mean, it is dreadful to be doing this and to be doing this today. I don't know if they were already planned, but if they were, they should stop those plans. I mean, we had a lot of discussion about this. We had a lot of COBRA meetings about this. We had a lot of discussion with the police about what they should be doing, because trying to get the line between the right for peaceful protest, but intimidating others, particularly specific communities, is one that we were never convinced that the police had got right. And we were always sort of having this discussion about whether they had the power or not to be able to, for example, deal with some of the protesters which go too far. And that's probably still a live discussion now, I would imagine. We were saying the police do have the powers, they were saying they didn't. So that's something, though. But to see these marches on our street, it doesn't, do you remember these? I don't remember any of this when I was growing up.
No,
there was none of this sort of huge sort of Palestinian, pro-Palestinian sort of rallies. It's all kicked off since October the 7th. And, we're in the UK, we're not in Gaza or Israel.
But there are other factors to this that some people anyway, seem uncomfortable talking about, which is that in the last 10 or 15 years, we've had rapid levels of immigration from a lot of Middle Eastern, Arab and South Asian countries where views about Israel is one thing, but where actual naked, pure anti-Semitism and Jew hate is not just said, it's encouraged. And then when we import that to this country, we expect things to change and things to be different, do we? We've let this in, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just when it comes to anti-Semitism where we have gone backwards. It's homophobia, for example, feminism. You've got a lot of people coming from cultures where they think that homosexuality is a sin. They think that women should be covered up. And a lot of them do not like Jews and are anti-Semites. And I just think it's crazy that we had Jews flee to our country from Nazi Germany, and now it feels like we're heading back towards that because we've imported a culture that hasn't gone through its reformation like Christianity has.
Matthew, I think we've bent over backwards for the Muslim community in this country. Have we let the Jews down?
Well, I think clearly there is a huge issue about the safety and security of the British Jewish community even before today's tragic events. Look, on the protests, I am shocked they've gone ahead tonight. I would say two quick things on that. The British Transport Police had the option to not have them because these particular protests, because they're actually about the Greta Thunberg, we may come on to that sort of flotilla issue, so therefore they're targeting transport. They're at railway stations. We saw people marching through railway stations. A kid on a skateboard gets quite rightly stopped when they're trying to go through the unions aren't allowed to march like that, quite rightly, when they're on strike through a railway station like that, and that's to do with the railways. Why is that being allowed? The BTP should have stopped it, and the Chief Constable of the British Transport Police has got a lot of questions to answer. And just can I say one thing? On the one in Leeds, I hope that our old friend, the Deputy Leader of the Green Party, who was, of course, elected as a councillor in Leeds and did a Gaza protest the night he was elected, I hope he wasn't there, so there are questions to be asked there too.
Well, yes. It's one to watch. OK, look, just quickly, a reminder for you, very quickly, of that breaking news that the suspect has been named as 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie, who is a British citizen of Syrian descent. 3 other suspects are in custody on suspicion of the commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. 2 men in their 30s, a woman in her 60s. We will give you the breaking news lines as we get it here, and there will be some, so make sure that you stay with us. Coming up,